All right. So let's tell you a little bit about Storm Internet. Storm is a company that's been in the internet business in the Ottawa area for about 25 years. We have offices in Ottawa, Perth, and Chesterville. I'm in the Chesterville office today, and it's in Storm and Dundas and Glengarry. So we've been in SD&G for well over 10 years. We provide high-speed internet in rural Ontario. That's kind of our marquee product, and so it's a big deal. We also provide things that are DSL. So that's DSL is a product from Bell, cable, fiber, or wireless, and we do local customer service. So our folks that are actually answering your questions are going to be sitting someplace around the Ottawa office, which you see in this picture on the side there, or perhaps in the Chesterville office, or in the Perth office. So it's somebody local who knows where North Lancaster is, who knows where Perth is, who knows all those things. We have more than 10,000 customers, including over 1,000 commercial customers. So you'll see some of that as we go through this slide presentation. This is what our coverage looks like. This is Eric Duncan. Eric Duncan and I have known each other since he went to school with my kids. And Eric is was visited in the Storm office a couple weeks back, and we were chatting about what the challenges of being a rural ISP. The map that's between the two of us, keeping us 6 feet apart, is a Google Earth map which shows our network and shows where our coverage is. And nowadays there's a new circle, and that circle is over in North Lancaster. But this is the kind of thing we cover a lot of Eastern Ontario. We're probably the best kept secret in the Ottawa Valley. We're trying to improve that. Samantha Hetherington's job is to help people get the word out that we exist. Eric, of course, if you don't know, Eric is the MP for Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry. Previously, he was the chief of staff to Guy Lauzon. I knew both of them, both Guy Lauzon and I've known Eric forever. So we do all these different services. If there's a business person here, they should see Peter. Peter can make all these things happen for them. Here's the project that we're doing. So we've got this new tower in North Lancaster. If you've been by the post office, you've seen the tower. Michelle, how tall is that tower?
203 feet. Okay.
And next up is a 200-foot tower that we're putting in down in Bainsville. You look at these pie charts around the towers. Those pie charts that's a 5-click radius on those?
Yes.
Yes, so those are 5 clicks. We'll actually reach 10 clicks. So if you're within 5 kilometers of the tower, you should be able to get 50/10. If you're beyond 5 clicks, but within 10 clicks, we should be able to get you 25/5. So for most homes, that's enough to get done what they need to get done. So the tower in North Lancaster, the tower in Bainsville, this whole thing was put together with the collaboration of CenGen and the township of South Glengarry. CenGen is the Center for Excellence for New Generation Networks, and they went out to their municipalities and asked the municipalities what they were doing in terms of needing internet. And Shauna Baggs from your township stepped up and asked CenGen if they could get a project going. And we had CenGen actually selected several different vendors and took a look at them, and our proposal was the one that was accepted, partly because we have some pretty innovative things in this proposal. First of all, they're 5010 radios, and they do some technical things called beamforming and things like that, and I'm sure there's somebody here that might want to ask questions about it, but I'm not the guy to ask that to. That's why we have Andreas here. And then the second thing is that we also have a point-to-point link from North Lancaster. That little yellow line that runs down between North Lancaster and Bainsville, we're feeding the Bainsville tower from the North Lancaster tower. Today, we're feeding the North Lancaster tower from our tower in Alexandria. Sometime really shortly, it'll all be on a big fiber that will allow us to be able to put 580 people between the two towers. So in North Lancaster, if you live inside this circle, you're within 5 kilometers. And if you have line of sight to the tower, so if you've ever looked over towards the post office, you perhaps can see the tower from there. If you can't see it, but if you had a tower on your property that overlooked the trees, you would be able to see it, then that would work. So that's what we're offering today, is we're offering to be able to help people do what's called a site survey, and then then we'd take it from there and try to get you hooked up to the tower. What happens is we take that map and we run a piece of software that allows us to show what's called propagation. That propagation software takes into account both the terrain and the foliage, and as a result of that, it allows us to be able to show where we should get signal around an area. So this is the area we expect will actually get covered. So that's what we're working on. This is what Bainsville will look like. So down in Bainsville, we'll cover these areas, and that's the 5-click radius. Of course, outside the 5-click radius is 10 clicks, and that's 25.5. The Bainsville propagation looks like this, and the combined looks like this. So we're going to cover a large part of South Glengarry. If there's other areas we need to be covering, we're certainly listening to what the township had to say about what they've learned from people who might want to be able to get connected to it. So from a very high level point of view, there's the tower, and that's 203 feet high, 60 meters. What happens is we have a line of sight that we use to be able to figure out how to get to that tower. The next piece of the puzzle is how do we actually calculate that? And so we have a little movie for you.
Here's North Lancaster. So this is where our tower is located. Just label that. So and for example, looking at Glen Nevis, which is up here. We would be able to put a path between the tower and Glen Nevis, and then we would look at the elevation profile. And so what this is showing us is, as you pointed out, Glen Nevis is on a high ground. And in this area, there seems to be a valley, so there's probably a creek or something that's winding through there. And then here, we have another ridge. And over here is where our tower is. Now, the difference in elevation between Glen Nevis at 77 meters and our tower, the base of our tower is at 62 meters, but our tower is
60 meters.
Is it 60 meters? Yeah, 60 meters. So we're actually at 100. The top of the tower where the distribution is actually at 120 meters of elevation. So if you see my hand, based on this chart, we're way up here somewhere. So now if you can think of an imaginary line that brings you down to Glen Nevis, there should be a possibility of getting service. If you're down in the valley here and you've got this big sort of ridge in the way, then you might need some additional tower height at your house in order to clear this structure. So it's things like that we look at when we're looking at what the coverage is. Obviously out here in the open fields and so on, the coverage for the tower is a lot easier out here. There'll be some challenging areas, but there'll be other areas that are very simple to service, and it'll all depend within that 5-kilometer radius. What areas are simple to deal with, and some of them, where we might need some additional height on the homeowner side. But a 200-foot tower propagates pretty well.
So hopefully, any questions on that?
Yes, I may have one question. Actually, I'm looking at the map, and I'm, for my part, I'm on concession 5, but I'm in Bridge End, so I'm past the 23rd. I want to know if the signal is strong enough to get to my home.
So I tell you what, Jason Riddick is online, and what he'll do is if you've already applied, he will look up your address and see if you're within the 10-click radius. That's the quickest way to get this figured out. What we've got is a little radio that goes on your house and points towards the tower. So in the case where we just had that clear line of sight with the tower, we were able to put a radio on the house, and then we run a wire down the house and then into the house. That allows us to be able to hook you up and get you started. And then we run a speed test before we leave. And this is what the speed test was for this particular house. It was 52 and 10. So that's above the 50-10 that we were talking about. And a ping time of 17 milliseconds is pretty darn good. For those of you who don't know what it means, it's actually a good speed for being able to pass data or play games or whatever you need. So it's going to be faster than the stuff you have right now, for sure.
Can there be any kind of a problem if you're actually too close to the tower?
Well, Michelle, why don't you talk about or is it Andreas who wants to talk about why we put the lower antennas as well?
No, they don't produce a lot of power, so they just if you're close, then we would probably aim your antenna a little bit differently, but the signals they self-adjust. That's one of the beauty about these new antennas, is that they self-adjust their power according to GPS, and they know where you are, so they'll adjust the power accordingly. So it doesn't matter how close or how close you are to the tower.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions on that?
What about weather conditions? How does that affect the signal? If it's raining or snow, or does fog affect it? How does that work?
It's because it's terrestrial wireless and it's not distances that are very long, 5 to 10 kilometers kind of thing. Weather doesn't affect it.
Yeah, it's not like coming from a satellite.
If your dish is buried on your roof, it's one thing, but as far as the weather between the wireless signals, they don't affect it. Nothing that's measurable really that affect your speeds.
Yeah, except if you have 50 inches of snow on your roof and it's covering your antenna.
Oh yeah, fair enough. So it's more effective than, say, the old Bell Express view systems, where if you've got a thunderstorm or
because they're coming off a satellite. They're coming off a satellite, so there's a complete
satellite tends to do that.
Yeah. So people always ask us, what do these speeds mean, and what does this mean for me? Thank you, Peter, for your hand. I'll come to you in a minute. So people always ask the question, what do these speeds mean? So we took some of the most popular video conferencing things and put them up so people would get an idea of what kind of download speed they take and what kind of upload speed they take. So if you're going to have 3 kids working at home and they're all going to be doing Zoom calls, learning from home, and they're doing Zoom calls, you've got 4.5 megabits down, and then you also get 1 megabit per up, let's say. So and most of the time, a lot of the offerings haven't had the more than 1 up. So the nice thing about this is you can have people running all kinds of different technologies, and we're able to actually support all of them because they're all in here. So you do some math saying, I'm going to have 4 Teams meetings at the same time. Oh, I need 25.5 or more. So those kinds of things are important for your math. Peter, why don't you ask your question?
Actually, I didn't have a question. I just had a statement for the gentleman that asked about the weather. I was a Storm customer actually before I was a Storm employee, and I check my speeds regularly just because the position I'm in, and I'm 6.5 kilometers from the Chesterfield Tower, and I have not had any weather yet, wind, snow, rain, sleet, or any of that stuff that's really had a negative impact on my speeds at home.
And when people talk about what does the speed mean, it's not the speed actually. When you do a speed test, every tablet, every smartphone, every camera, every smart TV, all the Nest and Ring stuff, all of that requires Wi-Fi. So if you're going to do a speed test, you normally end up plugging into the router, because that actually gives you a much better speed test and more honest about what can we actually produce, because you're not competing with all the other devices when you do that. So basically, you're going to be able to learn and work from home. You'll be able to do all your social media. You'll be able to do online shopping and bookings and things like that. um, the weather channel becomes easy. Nothing takes 5 minutes to repopulate. It all works. Michelle, this is for you. How would you like to talk to the construction?
So we'll just go through these slides fairly quick. We just want a little show and tell about how this tower was basically built. So engineers came out and designed it, and they told us we needed to go 43 feet wide by 36, and then go 11 to 15 feet deep. That actually depended on a geosurvey. If you go to the next slide. So then we dug that hole and we backfilled it to a 10-foot level where the foundation will be sitting on. And it's been tampered as per the geotech specifications. Once that's all done, we put the template together. We build a rebar cage with pillars and set the template on it. We build a wall around it, the cage of rebar, and pack it in for cement. Then we fill it with cement. It doesn't have to be pretty. It's all going to get buried. And then we backfill all that to the top of the pillars with the template still on it and waiting for the tower. We built a little pad for our generator and a backup generator on this tower. The tower is all done. We provide conduits to get power to the tower on one side to the municipal garage.
And the reason for the generator is because if power goes out, our tower still will work. So so as long as you have the UPS at your house that powers your equipment, you'll also be able to be on the internet when the power's out.
Another conduit to go get the fiber from Bell. That's going to go to the ditch. So that was installed as well. We hired local electricians to connect all the power together, connect the generator, do all that for us. And there's the picture of the generator sitting there waiting to be powered up.
Right beside the municipal offices. Thank you very much, municipality, and the post office.
Then the tower arrives on a flatbed truck.
That's a pretty big flatbed you got there.
That's all laid on the ground and sorted out and get ready for assembly. They assembled on day one the two first top sections, or the tops of the tower first. And then snow came in and nice weather. So day two, they were working on more of the lower part of it. And day three, finishing the base of it.
And then the decision was made to actually take parts 1 and 2 and link them together for the first lift.
After that, our shack was delivered. So we placed it by where the tower is going to be. And then we just put a video up on our YouTube channel. If you guys want to follow us on YouTube, feel free to see that. We're starting to put more and more content on there. Oh, you didn't play it, Burkett. Go
Okay.
back one. So this is the erection of the tower, and we put a little dog and pony show together to illustrate how the tower came up.
Yeah, this delay footage is pretty
Little
awesome.
music.
So it was actually pretty interesting that day because there was actually more wind than we perhaps thought there was. So that swaying back and forth is really in slow motion, and it's on because there's big gusts of wind coming by, and you can see the clouds moving. So you know if that's the way it is. This is the same tower from a different angle. I'm not sure.
The tower could have all been done in one day, but because of that wind, we decided to do it in a second day on this one for that reason.
I'll give you your music.
Told you.
I told you. I can give you music. There you go.
So this crane was capable of doing about 250 feet, I think. And he used it all.
Yep, he had to use it all to get above the actual area. Quite an art to pick up a very large piece of steel and then drop it onto the very, very top. And the real art form is the climbers. So you'll see along the way that we've got Baker Tower Technology to give us a hand. They're folks from Baker used to work with us. So there it is. Okay. That's the kind of thing that we do.
And there it is in the
Yeah, so you can look for the Storm YouTube channel if you want to keep on what we're doing. We certainly worked well with Tengen on this one. So Baker's Tower Technologies gave us a hand. They've been a partner of ours since 2013. And Mark Baker used to actually be a member of our own internal team. Our next tower has already arrived. Michelle, you're trying to get it up by mid-April, right?
That's the goal. We are visiting the engineer this week, and yes, as soon as we can. We're not going to let the snow stop us.
So we already have the tower. So as opposed to the Trilon tower that we showed you which we had to wait for, this tower is actually already on site, already waiting. The engineer is going to do his thing to figure out exactly what needs to be there. Then we'll build the concrete pad and build the tower. So some of the things that people don't know about Storm is that we power tourism in lots of different places. So as we started with some things in large venues doing Blues Fest, that technology we used again at Kempville Live, being able to cover a wide area with Wi-Fi and keep 5 or 6 different access points going for different things. So sound delights and the trailers for the stars, things with the gates and the ticket booths and the merchandise tents and things like that. So we actually provide that for them. And even Bose over in Van Cleek Hill uses us for their fall event to do, or they did up until pandemic time. So we help different festivals and events happen. We also have corporate customers. There are many corporate customers. We have 3M in Brockville. We have lots of construction companies that are using us. Parks of St. Lawrence. Peter, maybe you want to say a word on that?
I love the Parks of St. Lawrence. So we basically connect any of the Parks of St. Lawrence facilities from Brockville, where they have the zip line, straight through Morrisburg. And once our new tower is completed in Bainsville, we'll be connecting the Glengarry Parks of St. Lawrence Park as well. We supply all the internet and Wi-Fi for inside Upper Canada Village. You might be surprised, but actually if you walk through Upper Canada Village, there's all kinds of wireless product in there. There's voice over internet telephone, and it's all hidden and so that you can't see it. And yeah, and like I said, the entire park is covered. So it's a lot of fun going in there and being creative and coming up with solutions for their needs.
You want to tell the story on Port Emsley? Is that one of yours too?
No, Port Emsley is actually not one of mine. The other ones all are, but that one's not.
Okay.
It's just a very small list of corporate customers. There's not enough.
Yeah.
presentation
There's more than 1,000 corporate customers. So this is just a sample so that you guys get an idea of what. So we've done the plowing match. We've done things with Merrickville agricultural fairs, and we're Peter. Peter Vanderlind. Maybe you want to turn on your mic and chat about what you're doing with the folks with the International Plowing Match and how that worked out.
The International Plowing Match was a really good opportunity for us. It really highlighted our skills. As in the spirit of the International Plowing Match, we went in, we built a temporary tower, which we fed from one of our main towers. Inside that, we were able to distribute internet to all the different vendors that required it, the banks, the International Plowing Committee, Ontario Clean Water Agency. They were all able to get internet connections from us. For those that you may or may not be aware, that 2015 was in a farmer's field approximately 6 kilometers north of Finch. There was really no other type of internet available, no DSL, no fiber or anything like that. So it strictly had to come in wirelessly, and we were able to supply the needs for that event for the duration. As far as the local agricultural fairs, again, we try to help them out as much as we can. A lot of the fairs now are under the same kind of guidelines as farms, that they have to do tracing of livestock when they come in, when they go out, where they've been, who they've been around, and having internet connection at these events just makes their job a lot easier. So we've been really fortunate that we've been able to help out not just Merrickville and Mountain, but Chesterville, Richmond, and several of the other local fairs.
We also do campgrounds, lots of different campgrounds. I'm sure that there's a number down on the St. Lawrence that we're going to do after this. So a quick recap. We're a wireless internet service provider. A lot of our business is in the rural area, around the Ottawa area. We also do fiber to the home in selected areas. So we're working on some projects up in Mississippi Mills, Clayton Lake area. We do fiber for businesses, the whole of Ontario and Quebec. We do fiber and networks for business parks. So the 417 Business Park by VARS is ours. We did the original fiber build in there, and we have many customers, and that helped economic development in that area. We also have VoIP available. So that's voice over IP, basically a way to do phone calls all across North America for very little per month, all over the internet. With Wi-Fi, sometimes we do arenas and conference centers, and sometimes we do main streets. With smart farms, Peter hinted on some of the things about farms and animals, but actually dairy farmers, grain farmers, cash croppers, and maple syrup farms really appreciate the work that we can do to help them connect all their devices together and put a private network together to take a look at the whole thing. And then in addition to that, we've also got DSL, which is basically a Bell product, which many of you probably already know about that. And then in addition to that, we've got coax infrastructure we can provide from various cable companies, both for residential and for commercial internet. So what's next? We've actually made a landing page for you, and you can book your site survey by going to storm.ca/North Lancaster. Don't forget the dash between North and Lancaster. The deal is we'll call to confirm date and time. We'll do a site survey at your house or building, and the site survey costs $49.95. If you can be connected with or without a tower, this is non-refundable. If you can't be connected, we probably won't show up because we'll do it all on the map using that technique for path calc that we showed you. And if we can't connect you, we'll have the discussion with you and explain to you that there's a likelihood that it's going to be hard to connect you, or you're going to need a very big tower, because we know the height of your house based on the address. We know the height of our tower, and we can do that path calc and figure it all out. So we're not about charging people money for things we can't do. If you're home when we do your site survey, we will do an on-the-spot connect. If you like. So if you're ready to come, we're happy to do that. The $49.95 gets applied to your bill if you move ahead. So it's free if you've actually signed up with Storm. And if you're in any local Facebook groups, Samantha would like to talk to you. Samantha, why don't you tell them what you'd like to do to help out?
Yeah, so if you're in any local Facebook groups and you hear of anybody having trouble with their internet connection, definitely send me an email or send us a message on Facebook. I get those as well. Just let me know what group it is, and that way we can kind of work from there and talk with local communities a little bit more.
So one of the things that is on the right-hand side of this page is a picture taken Sunday when all the parts and pieces for a bunch of radios that are getting deployed in North Lancaster arrived in Chesterville, and the very next day, all these radios were assembled and ready to go. So we are out there installing. We'll have trucks in North Lancaster most days now, but you can certainly just go to the storm.ca/North Lancaster site in order to be able to register yourself. So here's the pricing, because everybody wants to know how much does this cost anyway. So the answer is, the worst case is you're buying a 5010 and you're paying $129.95, and we deliver 5010, and it's unlimited. So you have as much as you can eat. Steve actually was our tester. So you always need somebody to test out a new tower to make sure everything's running right. Andreas, why don't you talk a little bit about what did Steve do during the Christmas holidays?
So Steve got hooked up before Christmas. He's about a kilometer away from the tower, and obviously has a line of sight. Put the connection through the ringer, and the first thing he did was download an update to a game, Gran Turismo or 5 or whatever it was. And
I thought it was Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it was, but he pegged the 50 meg for 6 or 8 hours, but that would have taken him like 6 or 8 days on his regular connection. So he thoroughly enjoyed that. And all of his speed tests that he reported back to me, he was getting 50-10 all the time. Very happy individual.
So then the other thing that he told me is that he has 22 devices in the house. So he has a lot that he can use, and he did use it, and he said that we've been just super in supplying him exactly what he was looking for. So, any questions on the pricing and all that?
Yes, I had one.
Okay, David, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the commercial. What was the price for that?
Well, the commercial internet comes with a different service level agreement. So if there's a problem with your stuff, we have a NOC, or Network Operations Center,
Okay.
and maybe Ann can tell us a little bit about what we do at the Commercial Operations Center to help support commercial clients.
With our NOC, which is what we review is your requirements. What is the need for your business, and find out the amount of employees that are within your business, the what particular products. We do a niche for each commercial product. Sometimes it's cookie cutter, but a lot of time everybody in commercial, whether you're a Soho, which is a small office, home office, your needs are different than a Tomlinson or the Parks of St. Lawrence, as we had spoken about earlier, versus doing it such as an event. So we can definitely customize your needs on any commercial product.
And so one of the things we also do is we take contacts and put them into our system that includes things like network maps, who are the key contacts for business, who are the key contacts for technical, so that when we're planning on upgrading an area or in another case, we see that you have extremely heavy traffic compared to what's normal, we can actually have a conversation with you about what's going on. We don't do that for residential.
Okay. And so you're going to contact us back for the site survey that we've signed up for?
Yes. Michelle is nodding his head. So yes, if it's residential, then it'll be Jason Riddick helping you out, and if it's commercial, it'll be Peter Vanderlind.
Okay, perfect. Peter, I guess I look forward to hearing from you.
Yes, I'll be looking forward to talking to you as well, David.
I'd like
Okay,
to
thank
add.
you.
I'd like to add to that, David, is one of the things that Sengen liked about these towers, which are 200 feet, is that we could have availability on the tower to do point-to-points, which are dedicated links to commercial customers, to bigger farms or big outfits like Tomlinson's and stuff like that. So we can give you speeds 100 and symmetrical speeds and so on.
Heather Rochon has her hand up. Heather, why don't you unmute yourself and have a chat with us?
I have two questions. The programs here, the different bandwidths or speeds here, is that related to the hardware that you actually install on site, or say for instance we sign up for a 15.3 and we decide later on that we want to go 25.5. Is there a hardware change to make that switch at some point?
So the equipment's all the same. Your connection is going to be tested at the time of installation, and it'll have the max connection that you'll have available to you. So
Okay.
if you're within the 5 kilometer range and you have line of sight, you'll have up to 50/10. If you're exceeding 5 kilometers and you still have line of sight, up to 10 kilometers, you should have availability up to 25.5. To answer your question, the equipment is the same for everybody's installation. It just depends on the distance.
We can just reconfigure it on the fly from our knob.
Yep.
I see. Okay. Another question. Does this tower have a strobe on top that we should be able to see?
There's no lighting on the tower.
No lighting
It's
at
a
all.
requirement from Nav Canada.
At 200
Okay.
feet, you're not supposed to be flying your helicopter that low.
Right. Okay. I mean, I can see the tower over near Lancaster, as a matter of fact. With the 34, I can see it from here sniffing away, but that's a pretty tall tower.
Yeah.
It's on the highway there. Okay. Don't think I had any questions. I may have another one, but not for now. Thanks.
If anybody else have any questions while we're here? One of the things Peter wants to tell you about is that if you ever have something that you can't get, he will look to see if there's a custom solution that will help you. He not only throws links together that are 100 to somebody's business, but he also, as a commercial rep, has a bunch of other things in his kit bag, including some commercial level, enterprise level Wi-Fi that he can, so you can have different kinds of access points. He can add in a bunch of cameras, and he likes to understand what you're trying to get done and how it's going to evolve, so that he can design something that with the team to be able to build it out so it works for you for the long term. That's how we got over 1,000 customers, including some of them you saw there. Any more questions?
One question for home service. For the telephone service, if you want to hook up your telephone on this system, is there an additional fee, or is that all in the same service?
So if you have an existing number with another provider that you want to port over to us, we can do that. It takes a little bit of a process about filling out a form, but it's just a one-time $35 porting fee.
And then the next thing is there is an additional charge, and there's two programs. One is for Unlimited Canada, one's for Unlimited US. And Jason, why don't you tell us the prices?
The Unlimited Canada-wide calling is $18.95 a month plus tax, and then it's $3 more if you want to add US calling.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Mitch, you have your hand up.
Yes, I was just unmuting myself. I was just wondering how this service differs from the calls that we get for Bell Wireless or Rogers Wireless internet that they're offering.
For starters, we're giving you 50/10 for real. The second thing is we actually are extremely responsive to communities, and that's how we've grown the company since 2000. Well, I've only been involved from 2003, and I was a customer before I became part of the company. So in 1996 the company was formed, and since then we've grown it to over 10,000 customers. And we got there because we actually do things that are innovative, and we do them as fast as we can, safely, to be able to bring them to you. So Mitch, one of the big differences between us and the big guys, the first thing is that we actually recognized about 5 years ago that you can't get some of the things done that you need to do with video calls on a 25.1 or you know, you're just not going to get there. You need to have a 25.3 minimum to be able to do some of those video calls. And so one of the key things is what's the up. So Misha, if you were actually running a VPN, a lot of the VPNs that we see these days are chatty because they have to do a lot of work to keep everything encrypted. And so in that process of being chatty, it doesn't work on something that's less than 3, or in some cases less than 5. So that's a big difference for all that. Do you have a particular application you were thinking of, Nick?
No, I was just wondering in general, because you get bombarded by all these other services. They're looking for your dollars kind of thing, and so I was just trying to figure out where my best bang for my buck is.
We'll try to make it here.
Yeah,
so Mitch, the other difference is that we are using unlicensed band for our distribution. They're using cellular networks, so there's a difference there in terrestrial wireless and cell 5G or whatever you want to call it.
Right,
is a bit of a difference.
Okay, did that fully answer your question, Mitch? Because next up is Heather again. Heather's up, and then Peter Vanderlind, you're next. Go ahead, Heather.
Now the hardware that you install at our location, is that that's a lease bit of hardware, right? We don't buy it; it belongs to Storm. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is there an extra charge?
Thank you. Well, yeah, okay. So that, I mean, that's included in the monthly fee, of course, right?
That the antenna is the router. Why doesn't Jason Riddick answer the question about what does it take? You can bring your own router, or you can have one of ours. The advantage of ours is that our support centers really know how to make this happen, and they know how to remotely reconfigure it if you get in trouble.
Okay, so what's the charge for the router then?
Jason
So we
Riddick.
have router rentals available for $9.99 a month, or you can purchase for $130. And then if anything happens throughout the rental period and a replacement is required, then we can always send you a new one.
And flooding in your basement does not count as a free replacement.
Oh, I understand that. Okay.
Okay, good.
But Jason, the price table on the screen, does that include the $10 a month for the radio?
It
Or not?
includes the radio, yes, not
It
the
does.
router.
Not the router, just
Not
the
the
radio.
router. Okay, I got you. Okay.
The radio. And the radio was that little thing that we saw mounted on the top of the roof.
Right.
So, okay. All right. Peter Vanderlind, you had your hand up.
Yes, just Mitch, in response to some of your questions, with the Rogers and the Bell, some of them are not unlimited plans. Some of them require a 3-year term. There's some fine print on some of them that indicate when you hit certain amount of data consumption that they actually reduce your speeds, and or there are overage charges. And because it works off the cell phone network, on the cell phone networks, they have a priority of 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 being emergency services and whatnot, so they always have priority. These home products from Bell and Rogers are number 4. So if a tower is overloaded, it will affect the people that are in the level 4. So their thought process is, Johnny at home playing Netflix isn't as important. We need to make sure that our first responders are able to make their calls. Then our regular customers are able to make their calls and so forth down until you hit that kind of 4th level home service.
Heather with the deep voice is going again.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, is there a limit to the number of connections on this tower that are available?
About 560 between the 2 towers. And then we would just actually have to add more radios.
Okay, so, all right. So each, how does this work? So each client has their own frequency, I suppose. Is that it? Is that how it works?
Actually, it does a lot of things, and I think we should have Andreas take this on, because there's stuff about beamforming and frequency reuse that I don't actually understand the total of, but maybe you can dumb it down for me and explain it to me, Andreas.
Okay, so that each customer does not have their own frequency. They're connected to an access point on the tower, which broadcasts with a single frequency, which we position the sectors back to back, or the EPs back to back, so they can frequency reuse. So we're using about three different frequencies on the tower.
Okay, so Jason Riddick is extension 240, and Peter Vanderlind is extension 237. So if you guys are looking for commercial, 237. If you're looking for residential, it'll be 240. So one of the things that people don't always understand is that when you go to build a tower like this, we actually employ a lot of people. So first of all, we wanted to say thank you to Sengen. I didn't see Kirby on here or nor Tulu, but if they were here, we'd let them comment. But Sengen is a sponsor for this, the Center of Excellence for New Generation Network. The whole story behind this, we were invited to bid on putting together a solution for South Glengarry, who would come to Sengen saying, hey, we need help from a municipal point of view. We can't get any internet that's decent, and we want to be able to encourage residents and businesses to arrive here. We also have, and then South Glengarry helped us with this location. The location beside the post office is on municipal land, and they were able to help us get that land and help us organize for that. And we're really appreciative of all of that, and Chris LeBlanc specifically, because he was really helpful to us when we were trying to get things started and needed access and places to store stuff and things like that. Baker's Tower came in. Trilon is the tower manufacturer. We used Cornwall sand and gravel to get the concrete and the fill. We used Bell for the fiber. We used Ionic for the electricity. LV Fencing is bringing some fencing out to us. They got a temporary fence there now, but as soon as the ground thaws a little bit, we'll get that done. MR Blay provided us with the actual generator itself and the gas work required for that. And we did Pine Grove Sheds, got us the shed we have. And Steve Willett helped us test through the whole of the Christmas holidays. So that was an awesome test that he did, and we really appreciated all the work that he put in there.
I added St. Lawrence testing there. That's the geo survey. So them too helped us a lot. They were there when the hole was dug, and they made sure that our ground was solid. Thank you for them. So you see, it takes a community to raise a tower.
that's it. Unless somebody has any questions, we're right at 8 o'clock, which is what I like to do, on-time departures and on-time arrivals. And thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Are there any further questions for us at this point? And Michelle, thank you very much for doing all the French in the beginning for us. Si on a besoin de la traduction de quelque chose, mon ami Michel va parler. Okay. And I'm sorry if I fractured my French too badly, but Michelle has perfect French. So. And we're also on all social media. So if you're on Facebook or Instagram, you can look and see what we're doing, or YouTube, or even LinkedIn. Seeing no more questions, I'll wrap this up and say thank you very much all for. Does the township have anything to say? I think we have SG clerk. That would be Miss Compo. Kelly Compo, do you have anything that you wanted to say on behalf of the township?
Thanks, Burkett. I guess just thank you for this presentation and for providing this information to the community. We're very excited to be expanding services in our township and thankful for the SunGen grant opportunity. So thank you, and we look forward to moving forward on this project.
Okay, and thank you for all the support from the township. We really do appreciate it. And we look forward to being able to come back to council and give a presentation. We could give a shortened version of this if they'd like the highlights. And then we can also do we'll do one on what's going on in Bainsville, more towards, I think Michelle's trying to get the concrete pad done by the 15th of March. So we might have a good story for you by then.
Well, we look forward to that.
Okay. And if there's anybody who has questions, feel free to get hold of us at Storm. We're certainly interested in participating with the community. Thank you all.